Welcome to Bleed Blue, the SWOSU Athletics podcast, bringing you interviews and insights from around Southwestern Oklahoma State University.
Yeah, I mean, SWOSU is great as far as love the campus, love the people, but what sold me on that was just the family atmosphere, like you said, and just that's something that was really important. That was a culture that he wanted to set, and that I talked to any SWOSU volleyball player, I've talked to any SWOSU athlete in general. I mean, that's something huge that is the culture for SWOSU.
Be in attack mode for 90.
Southwestern get behind this Cowboy. Looking here.
Touchdown, Bulldog!
Around here, we bleed blue.
Now here's your host, Hailey Tucker.
What's up, Bulldog Nation? I'm Hailey Tucker, and I'm your host for the new SWOSU Athletics podcast, Bleed Blue. And we're on episode 7, and we have a very special guest here today. It's Carly Zak, a former SWOSU volleyball player. I haven't seen you in years. How are you doing, Carly?
I'm great, Hailey. How are you?
Oh, doing great. And I want to start this off first by letting people know me and you were roommates.
We were.
Probably the most, I would say, athletic household of all SWOSU history. But
we were a powerhouse.
Oh, powerhouse, Talk about that, living with other athletes. How was that?
I loved it. I mean, I think that we understand each other and our schedules a lot, but I think the fun thing was, for me personally, I don't know, you can speak on your own on this, but, I was a fall sport and you guys were fall spring, I guess. But no, it was so exciting just to always come home and have different perspectives as far as exciting things that happen. I may not fully understand basketball. You may not fully understand volleyball, but just being in an environment where we all were friends, honestly, but it was just tough that we didn't get to see each other all the time, but we were so supportive of each other, and I miss you and Pretty, so I hope y'all are doing good.
Well, we miss you too, and what I didn't understand in volleyball, was some of the game, but what I did understand was how massively impressive you were for the SWOSU volleyball program. I mean, you were a 2-time, Bulldog of the Year, a player of the, just talk about your success at SWOSU.
Yeah, I mean, coming in as a freshman, I was from, a smaller town in Texas, and I had some success there, but coming into SWOSU, I didn't really know what to expect as far as, what college looked like and what sports looked like. And I mean, you know what I mean? But I mean, just being able to be there with a team and a coach that really cared about me, and knowing that, it wasn't going to come easily, and that was something that I had to do. I had to work for it. And I kind of, coming in, like I said, I was pretty decent in high school, and I kind of thought, I'll walk in here and I'm going to be fine. But Coach Collins kind of ripped me a new one there more than once, unfortunately, and I just figured out really quick that was something that I had to work for. Nothing's going to be handed to you, as you or any other athlete knows.
And Coach Collins, you talk about him a lot. I don't think I've ever seen him really yell. Can you kind of talk to that?
Yeah, maybe for the media, he likes to put on a little happy face, but no, he loved to rip us apart in practice. Not rip us apart. I'm going to get in trouble for this. But no, all in all, he had our best interest at heart for volleyball, for sports, but also as people. I still talk to that guy all the time. Whenever big things happen in my life, the big thing about him is that he cares about us as people as well as doing well on the court. So that's a huge thing for me, and that was one of my really deciding factors too in coming to SWOSU. I visited UCO and I visited West Texas A&M, but something that was really important to me was Josh and how he was able to connect with his players.
Yeah, and you can feel that as soon as you step on campus. So you talk about going and visiting those other campuses. What other factors, you didn't even have the Pioneer Cellular Event Center, did you, when you first came on your visit?
No, we were in the, oh my gosh, what is it even called?
Rankin-Williams.
Yeah, Rankin. God, it feels like 10 years ago, honestly. But no, we were in Rankin, and we were in this small locker room in the back. That's all knocked down now. But Yeah, I mean, SWOSU is great as far as like, you know, love the campus, love the people, but what sold me on that was just the family atmosphere, like you said, and just that's something that was really important. That was a culture that he wanted to set, and that I mean, I talked to any SWOSU volleyball player, I've talked to any SWOSU athlete in general. I mean, that's something huge that is the culture for SWOSU.
And, you know, you did great things for him under his wing as well. I mean, you were the most decorated SWOSU volleyball player we've ever had. And can you talk about kind of how you became from your little freshman baby self? That's what I always talk about, from freshman baby to senior killer. I'm about how you transitioned from that so easily.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call that an easy transition. It was a lot of work. And I think for me, I was always surrounded with people. I mean, you talk about team a lot, we talk about family a lot, yeah, but really it's just knowing what it takes to win, and knowing that it's not just every single team that I was on all those 4 years. You know, we had some more successful than others, but every time it was, you know, girls wanted to stay after, girls wanted to get those extra reps, and hey, you know, I'm really struggling, you know, to get this slide, but let's work on that. And there's not one player in those 4 years that would say, hey, you know what, I think I need to go get a nap in. You know, everybody did want to go that extra mile. And I think, yes, I had that determination and I had that competitive drive personally, but I think what really helped me be successful is the girls that are willing to do anything for you, and as far as practice, but also off the court. And that's what pushed me to want to be better for myself, but for the team as well.
And talking about teammates, I mean, some of the key ones that stick out to me are Kayla Abear. I mean, you literally could never hear her stop yelling. You know, she was always cheering, always talking. Yeah. And other teammates like Lindsay McCauley, or, you know, I'm just thinking of ones that were there during my time. But if you had to choose, you know, not a favorite teammate, but someone you absolutely loved playing with, who would that be?
Oh God, I have to pick just one. I mean, I might be a little biased. You know, me and Ariana Olsen were very good friends from day one. She helped me. She understood me mentally, and she was able to get me through some really hard times. Like, you know, in the GAC championship, was that junior year, you know, I tore my labrum and I was like, I'm done, I'm out, I don't know what I'm going to do. And that girl picked me up and brought me through that whole thing. But that's so rude of you to say just pick one favorite teammate. I mean, Kayla Abear, I've never meshed with a setter the way that I meshed with her. That girl is insane. She's so good. She knows how to lead a team and lead a court. And I think kind of bouncing off of that a little bit is I'm so thankful for those 5 seniors that we had that year, because each of us brought something so different to the team. You know, I was, not that other people weren't competitive, but I was, you know, really competitive and had a one-eye drive for like what I was doing. But, you know, Kayla, like you said, she's always yelling and cheering. Kelsey was super intense and lit people up, literally. You know, Paige, Air, everybody. So it was just really cool to have leaders coming leading in different ways, if that makes sense.
And you mentioned a little bit about that championship team. You know, we're approaching 5 years from that team. Isn't that insane that was 5 years ago? But yeah. What was your best memory from that championship run?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you know, God, that's so hard to pick one. You keep giving me all these really hard questions. No. No, just that celebration. I think like once that ball hit the floor and we knew that we had won that in that was it 4 or 5? I think it was 4 sets. Just knowing that like all of our work really paid off, and knowing that we all truly, truly believed in each other. All of those girls, like I said it before, and I'll say it again, everybody, those 5 seniors, but also everybody else on the team, Lindsay, Clemson, Delaney, everybody, they all brought something to the table. And just knowing that like it's like a car, this is going off a little bit, but you know, it's like a car. You know, a car is not just going to work with a gas pedal. You know, you got to have a brake, you got to have wheels, and everybody brought something different to the table there. And we knew that everybody had to step up and do what they needed to do. And going through that season, we had some tough times, but just knowing how to work through that and work together, that was really rewarding to see all of our hard work paying off.
And all the hard work pays off for you individually as well, because I mean, you as a senior set the GAC record for the amount of kills. And I do remember, I'm going to bring up kind of a sore subject, but you didn't win player of the year that year. And I've been in that situation as well.
Yeah.
How does that, inspire you or push you to continue to go on, not only in volleyball, but for the rest of life? I mean, it's something that impacts you. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, that was, I was really upset about that. It was something I felt like I worked really, really hard for those years. And, sometimes how it is in sports, but also in life, some things don't go the way that you hope it will. But honestly, at the end of the day, that's just going to light a fire under my butt. So that way I can, work harder the next year. And I feel like, we did do that. And in life, I mean, that's how I kind of live by that too. It's like, COVID, things happen in life and you just kind of have to roll with it and roll with the punches and just learn from it. So, what I took from that was a learning moment, and you just got to drive forward.
You take that, like you said, in your post-volleyball life, but, everyone who doesn't know you wants to know, what are you doing now? Are you doing something still involving volleyball, or what's going on in the Carly Zak life?
Yeah, so I moved out to Nashville in October of 2018. I'm living with my roommate here, and she's a nurse at Vanderbilt, and I'm working in operations for a marketing company here, and I just started that late July, and I am loving it. It is hard not being a part of sports. I kind of always thought I would have some sort of life in that, but I do play in a sand league here, and I just started a court league team. But it's just not the same. I play with like a lot of friends and they're great people and it's really fun, but it's so hard to kind of like hold, they're like, what are you doing? Oh wait, you had a beer before this, this is an actual volleyball. So I have to bite my tongue sometimes, and that's tough, but hopefully one day I'll be able to, get into it more, but it's tough. I always joke with Josh. When we talk on the phone, I'm like, hey, do you got any girls with brown hair that maybe I can just kind of step in and take one of their years of eligibility? But
yeah, I think the other coach they would know you. Yeah, they'd be like, I remember that girl.
So like, she's a little familiar. She might have gained 15 pounds since I've seen her last, but.
Oh my goodness. But I don't even know this being your roommate, but did you ever have aspirations to, play after college volleyball? Because I mean, obviously you could have played overseas or wherever, but did you ever think about doing that?
I did. I really wanted to, and I was in contact with somebody for a while, and it just fell through. I tried hard for that to happen, and it just didn't. So I kind of felt like it was my time maybe just to hang it up. But that might be one of my biggest regrets to date, because every time I get on the court, I'm always like going, like I told you, I play in these leagues, I'm going after balls, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am not the 2017 girl that I was. I can barely run for a minute now. So
that post-athlete life, it hits us really
hard.
It
hits hard. I'm gonna have a salad after this.
I have one right. Yeah, no. But yeah, so talking non-salad life, but have you ever thought about coming back to SWOSU, or when's the last time you came back to SWOSU and kind of just watched a volleyball game or I know you said you talk to Coach Collins all the time, but seeing everyone in person?
So after I graduated, I moved back to Dallas for a while, and I was working there, and I actually went with Kelsey to their West Texas A&M tournament in fall of 2017. But that's the last time I've been back there, which is wild. So I actually messaged Kelsey the other day, checking in on her, and I think we're gonna plan something. So once COVID life gets back to normal and people are able to come to games and the girls are playing, you betcha I will be there. Definitely need to make a trip.
Yeah, and SWOSU is just something so special, and recruits, I hope that they feel the specialness every time they take a visit, especially for the volleyball program. Can you kind of talk about that? How SWOSU is just, I'm biased, very biased, but so much better than other universities.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, obviously, like I was at SWOSU all 4 years, so I can't really speak a whole lot on other universities, but I would say I'm just as biased as you. I made relationships and friendships that'll last a lifetime there, but the end of the day, I bleed blue. You know, I always go in and check in on how the teams are doing. And I think not only, like I said before, not only Josh, but everybody at SWOSU has really instilled that and known that that's something that's important to the university, is the family atmosphere. And, you know, people truly care about each other there, and especially in sports.
And I kind of have a weird question, but I've always wondered, and I don't know if I've ever asked you, but during the games, when there's a ball, it goes by and then you guys will dive. Is that like a Coach Collins thing, or like what exactly was that? Wait,
you mean like a ball's going and there's no chance anybody's getting it and people dive on the floor?
There's like the random dive. I always wondered, I don't know if I ever asked you this question.
Yeah, in practice, if nobody went for a ball, like, you know, so you kind of think, I'm from not volleyball perspective, if I never played and you're like, okay, that ball's about a football field away, why would they just fall on the floor? Because if our butt was not on the floor or in any attempt to get that, okay, we can put the balls up for the rest of practice and y'all are on the line. So I was like, I would rather bruise my hip than have to run, you know, a sideline 17, okay?
Understandable. Okay, I always wondered that. And I know a lot of the fans in the stands, I mean, we had a lot of fans for volleyball games. And I mean, just talk about how incredible it was to have the support from SWOSU not student athletes, but students themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they make it I feel like I keep talking in circles, but I mean, it is like the family aspect. And, you know, Coach Collins did say, like, all my years is like, hey, we really need to go out and support, and we need to go do these things, and we need to be there for the basketball team. But it wasn't something that ever really had to be communicated. We wanted to go and do that because, like, everybody loves SWOSU. Everybody wanted to see all the other athletes succeed. And, like, it is like a community as far as, you know, athletics, yes, but also the student body. I mean, that's just part of going to a university, I think. And, you know, when people are successful and wanting to, everybody's succeeding, and, you know, athletes, I mean, Russell Westbrook is working day in and day out, and you love to watch him and, like, see what his benefits look like. So I think that's the same thing for student athletes and students as well. You just want to see the people that are on your side, and you want to see the people succeed.
And they used to really show out for the rivalry games with Northwestern, but you guys had kind of a different rival, am I right?
I mean, I feel like we've got a couple.
SNU, was that the team that was kind of the more of a rival for you guys?
Yeah, so I would say, you know, SWOSU in general would be Northwestern, but for volleyball, it was something about Southern Naz. I don't know, was never a big fan. I mean, great girls, don't get me wrong, but there's just always that little extra fire on our butts whenever we played them.
And, you know, can you tell me a game? I know I don't want to make you have to think and choose or whatever, but do you have a specific game in mind that maybe was your favorite overall game? Or it doesn't have to be the championship win or anything, but, you know, just take me back to a game. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, and I mean, not to be cliche, but I think it was that championship game. You know, I was talking to Doug before this, and I was like, I was just watching it, and it's just so crazy to see. It's so exciting to see, like I said, your hard work pay off, and all those years of really going into those weights at 5 a.m. and, you know, Coach Jackson make us doing the squats that we didn't want to do, or, you know, and just seeing all of the hard work that you put in all those years really pay off. And so, I mean, that game was exciting, you know, for that win, but that was also one that's ingrained in my mind forever, because I still remember the play. I'm running one way and the girl hits outside of the block this way. So I reach my frame out and I get the ball up, but I tear my labrum in the process. So that was something as an athlete, I think anybody who's gone through an injury is like having to relearn how to be there when, especially when you're a big impact on the team and you are a leader, having to figure out how to do that from the sideline. And even though it was just the spring, but spring is just as important, you know, as the fall, whenever you are, you know, busting your butt every game, but being there for your team and letting them know that, hey, I might be out, but I'm here for you. So I think that was a big change in my career, just as far as exciting for the win, but also figuring out things from a different perspective. And at the end of the day, it made me a better player.
And so then you guys win that championship game. And so you said you tore your labrum in that game.
Yeah.
Okay, so take me through the next next couple weeks, what happens then?
Yeah, so let me take you through the next couple points on that one, Hailey. So I told you how it happened, and I'm looking over at Josh and Caleb, and I'm like, you guys, something's not right. Something's not right. And I'm like, can you call a timeout? Can you call it? And I'm looking at him, and he's like, Carly, the set's over. Go to the other side of the net. I'm like, okay. So make it through that. And then we go to the championship. We play Concordia, and something's still not right in there. And so I end up going to Oklahoma City. We do that dye test or whatever, and it looks good. And they get in there, and it looks just like crab meat. So it ended up being torn. And so that's where my mindset kind of shifted, because I'm like, well, shoot, what am I going to do? How am I going to be there for my team? How am I going to do what I usually do? So just having to fight through that, like I said, and see a different perspective. That was tough, but I think it made me a better player at the end of the day and person.
So were you on the sidelines, like, talking trash? I always wondered that about volleyball too. Can you guys talk trash at the net, or is that just like what happens there?
Well, you're not supposed to. I mean, you're not supposed to get caught, I guess. I can say all this now that I'm retired. I'm not going to –
oh, right.
Josh is going to be like, get on a plane, get here now. No. I was pretty good about not doing that. But, of course, there would be some girls who would really talk some mess through the net. And sometimes you got to get a couple of digs. But I think at the end of the day, more so it was shutting them up with what you can do. I mean, if you're going to talk trash, why don't you – follow through on that scoreboard, because it just looks like we beat you 25-10. So
I love that. And also you could say, look at our gym compared to yours, and that's one of the biggest aspects. I know that we've talked about it a little bit, but of the PCEC. Yeah. So transitioning from Rankin to the PCEC, kind of how was that for you and the team, I guess, and Coach Collins?
Yeah, that was super exciting. I mean, obviously, look at the PCEC. It's an amazing gym, but I think it brought us a sense of pride for sure. And we bleed on that court, and we wanted to protect it. But also, like you said, going from Rankin to that, Rankin was really cool because it was such a small atmosphere, and we had so many people come to our games that it was so loud all the time. So going into PCEC, and you yell from one side and someone can barely hear you. So, it was obviously super exciting, and we loved it, but it's definitely two different feels, but can't say a bad thing about either.
And then we're heading towards the end right here, but you were also named to a GAC Decade team, amongst your many, many awards. You were a 2-time Bulldog of the Year. That's incredible. So honestly, what award meant the most to you throughout your career? That's
a tough one. I know you're asking me all these questions. Shoot, I told you to go easy on me. All of them really meant a lot to me, but I think my favorite one was being Athlete of the Year. And I think I keep saying the same thing, but just seeing all of your hard work pay off and working with a team and those girls, like, it is like, maybe that's an award that I got, but also that's something that everybody on the team helped me get. It wasn't just, volleyball is not golf, everybody has a hand in every play, which I don't know I guess I shouldn't say, I don't know how golf works really, but anyways, everybody worked their butts off all season. And so I felt like, yes, that was a really cool thing for me to get, but it was also something that I couldn't have done without the girls from 2013 all the way up to 2017. Everybody worked hard for me, and I feel like I worked hard for them. So I think at the end of the day, it was a team thing, but that was probably my favorite one because it was something that came from SWOSU.
A most humble answer from the most decorated SWOSU volleyball player in the history of SWOSU volleyball. But so we're heading towards the end of this podcast. And as you know, this podcast is called Bleed Blue. And I always ask our guests on here, why do you bleed SWOSU blue?
I bleed SWOSU blue because I was there for 4 years. Some of amazing memories I've had there. I'll look back on all these friendships and relationships that I've made that I'll have hands down for the rest of my life. And I will always look back on SWOSU as some of the most amazing years I've had. And I will always look back and smile.
Well, Carly, thank you so much for taking the time. I miss you so much. And
I miss you too.
Ruby.
I know, Ruby. I'll have to come back. Whenever I come back and visit, we'll go to dinner.
Okay, roomie for life, right? And thank you for watching episode 7 of the new SWOSU Athletics podcast, Bleed Blue. We'll see you next week with another very special guest here on the SWOSU Athletics podcast for episode 8. See you then.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Bleed Blue, the SWOSU Athletics podcast. To learn more about Bulldog Athletics, visit us on the web at www.swosuathletics.com. And as always, go Dogs! Subscribe to Bleed Blue, the SWOSU Athletics podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.